this was the meeting. Thank you.
Now we have to do this stuff.
Yes, yes. I know, it's good to see you.
Okay.
Hi. I was say behind
Hello.
you.
Oh, yeah, how have we been?
We met once before, Frank Combs.
Oh, okay.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Good morning. Good morning. Hi. Oh, yeah, it's good to see you. How's it going? So how are we doing with numbers on workforce? Workforce. On the contract?
It hasn't really changed much over the last month. It's pretty stationary. Looks like it's settled. The numbers have been 1 or 2 years, but it's pretty much plateaued.
I'll mention it. I will tell you what we're doing right now today. Or you understand this is February. It's not a project, especially recruiting on board. But every week I'm looking for updates from everything from cleanliness of our station, to our ability to field security personnel, the number of operators, actually supporting our training process. And I really we're just trying to figure out. And then the game's over, and then we all exhale. There will be an exhalation, of course, but really kind of pushing us to a level that I hope that we will sustain. We'll have it, well, temporarily drop back down, but in terms of I'm going to be looking for us to rise and capture that. Good. We'll get there. Okay. Thanks for being here. I appreciate your presence.
But what's that? Road.
I did, yeah.
Stops on both sides. So I told them to talk about it because I'm not going to be back until like.
How about that? I really need to work on my delivery. No, you're fine. Nice to see you. I'm wearing.
Bob Ferris
Good morning. Good morning. I've already seen the advertisement.
Thanks for being here.
Or advertising.
Good morning. Super. Yeah.
Got an aggressive plan in place.
Delivery route. Oh, is it morning?
I think it's good.
Yeah, for a bit.
Thank you.
I'll get you one.
That's good. Yeah. How's it going?
Okay.
So it's like, no, we're gonna. So. That's an FTA. No, that's different. Well, I all I can say about that. There's more opportunities for rural funding than there are. Sorry to reflect your bubble.
We're gonna need more.
I'm good. How are you?
You ready? I will convene the meeting in 1 minute.
Wait, let me. Block. Block. Oh, you're sorry.
I think that helped too. He's pretty strong too. He doesn't like that. Oh, right. Oh, yeah. We used to do good competition, but he's kind of fell off.
Good afternoon. I am convening the meeting and welcoming members to the September meeting. Pat, will you now call the roll?
Yes, good morning, everyone. City of Avondale, Vice Mayor Veronica Malone. City of Buckeye, Councilmember Clay Goodman.
Present.
City of Chandler, Mayor Kevin Hartke. City of El Mirage, Vice Mayor Monica Dorsey.
Present.
Town of Fountain Hills, Councilmember Mike Charnow.
Present.
Town of Gilbert, Mayor Bridget Peterson. City of Glendale, Councilmember Lauren Tomlatoff. City of Goodyear, Councilmember Bill Stipp.
Present.
Maricopa County Supervisor Jack Sellers.
Here.
City of Mesa, Councilmember Francisco Heredia.
Here.
City of Peoria, Councilmember John Edwards.
Here.
City of Phoenix, Vice Mayor Laura Pastor.
Here.
Town of Queen Creek, Councilmember Leah Martineau. City of Scottsdale, Councilmember Kathy Littlefield. City of Surprise, Councilmember Chris Judd.
Here.
City of Tempe, Vice Mayor Jennifer Adams.
Here.
City of Tolleson, Councilmember Adolfo Gomez. Town of Wickenburg, Mayor Rui Pereira.
Present.
And Town of Youngtown, Mayor Michael LaVault. Chair, we're ready to begin.
Thank you. If a committee member would like to ask a question or make a comment during the meeting, please type your comment in the box and it will be read aloud and answered. All meeting attendees, please mute your computer, microphone, or phone. Item number 1, public comment. The public will be provided with an opportunity at this time to address the committees on non-agenda items and all action items, agenda items. Up to 3 minutes will be provided per speaker unless the chair allows more at her discretion. A total of 15 minutes for all speakers will be provided. Do we have public comment?
Yes, Mr. Crowley.
Well, this is the Ducey letter of vetoing the proposition that was to get to the ballot possible funding of the prop, I believe it's 500. Well, I finally got a copy of it. I did mention some things at the last meeting that were parts of it that I was hoping that you guys, being the opposite side of the coin, might be able to change and influence. My favorite in here, and surprise, it's a surprise to me. It says that MAG is going to have the discretionary funds based on regional planning efforts for the park and ride lots. Well, surprise, you remember how hard it was for you guys to get the state, et cetera, to help you out on that one on the 101. And I also don't see in here where it says that you guys, when you're building things, need to be multimodal with it, as in with the capital extension and the 5 bus routes that aren't connected to the rail. Is that because the rail doesn't want to be multimodal and those stops are going to slow it down? Or is it that you guys spent $30 million and the people that are planning it don't understand that if it's not multimodal and not working for the citizenry, they don't need to be doing it? I find it fascinating that with the eggs all in one basket, you're looking forward to the next legislature coming to fruition and bring this to a vote. Well, I need you to make sure that in it, it also has things like the infrastructure. Industry standard is a bus stop every quarter mile. Well, for you guys to be able to do that, you need to be paying for the right of way and et cetera, and working with the cities. But we need to have every single stop a covered shelter. 3 days ago, it finally went under 100 degrees as our average daily high temperature. Now, that's only been since May that we've been in this situation. But without a covered shelter, we are putting our customers at risk from May through October, and that's not unacceptable. So I need you guys to get it wrote correctly, make sure that the infrastructure is a part of it, and also where it has in here now that it's going to be distance and ridership, that takes away any of the rural routes. So Brewy, why they don't want you to have a bus going out to Wickenburg and coming in, I don't know. And also, when you do get it wrote correctly, we need to make sure that the equipment is based in those communities to start the route, not kicking it out of Phoenix 3 hours beforehand to start it. Have a pleasant, and I'll see you in about 20 minutes.
Thank you, Blue. Item number 2 is Chief Executive Officer's Report. Jessica Medford Miller, could you please provide us a report? Medford.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board and guests and staff. I've got a few items I would love to update you on this morning. Fall is a season of recognition and award here for Valley Metro. I'm pleased to share that Valley Metro and the city of Tempe, and in particular, the streetcar project, will be recognized next month by Engineering News-Record as one of the 2022 best projects in the category of transportation and airports. Special thanks to our partners at Stacy and Whitbeck, who nominated the streetcar for this award, and congratulations to our partners at City of Tempe and Valley Metro staff, who have done such a great job at completing and now continuing the closeout of this important project. Not to be outdone, our Operations and Maintenance Center expansion project, which is now closed out, was also nominated and will be recognized for Engineering News-Record Award of Merit in the category of safety. Special thanks to all Valley Metro, City of Phoenix, and Tempe staff who participated in this project, and our construction partners at Hensel Phelps who applied for the nomination. One of Valley Metro's great tasking is leading our region's clean air efforts. And we do that, of course, by delivering public transit service across the valley. And we also manage our region's van pool and commute solutions program. We will gather later this month, next month, for the Clean Air Awards Campaign Luncheon. This is an annual event. You have received invitations for this event. The purpose of this luncheon is to recognize the many outstanding efforts that are being undertaken by your member cities to improve air quality across the valley. Our keynote speaker this year is Dan Harkins from Harkins Theater. Our Master of Ceremonies is again Sean McLaughlin from AZ Family Channels 3 and 5. I encourage you all to join us. You should have received an invitation. If you have questions or require additional seats, Ms. Dillon would be happy to assist you. I hope to see you there as we celebrate our 2022 theme of Be a Champion. I'm also really excited to introduce a new project to you in the spirit of connecting communities and enhancing lives. We are pleased to announce a new extension of Valley Metro's art program. We have an award-winning, I think, really fantastic public arts program that enhances the communities we serve and also brings members of the communities in to create art that's displayed across the transit system. We've developed the South Central Extension Temporary Art Grant Program. This grant program has been modeled after the City of Phoenix Office of Arts and Culture grant programs. It's the first of its kind for Valley Metro. This will be grants of $5,000 each that are really focused on the community surrounding the South Central Extension project. And it will include community-based cultural programs in two dimensions. Think of items like murals or also performance art to educate and engage the community. We've allocated $90,000 from our capital art program to support this fund. I'm hopeful that our experience and the great art that emerges from this project is going to help guide forthcoming art programs that really create important connections between Valley Metro and the projects that we deliver and the communities that we serve. We will issue a call for grant applications this fall, followed shortly thereafter for outreach surrounding this to encourage participation, also answer any questions, of course, that arise associated with it. I really look forward to seeing the creativity, the art, and the community pride that is displayed through these projects and programs, and we will continue to keep you apprised on our progress. Special thanks to Chair Pastor for championing investments in art along the South Central corridor. I think it's a wonderful opportunity to provide these connections and deliver something back to the community as we're moving through the disruption that's associated with construction. Well, all hands are on deck already to prepare for Super Bowl 47. Last week, we were pleased to participate in a tabletop exercise with our partners from the City of Phoenix, the Transportation Security Administration, and other regional partners to prepare for emergency management during Super Bowl 47 and the week-long festivities. Within Valley Metro, we are also working closely with our service operations teams in bus, light rail, and streetcar and security to make sure that we are prepared to execute excellent service throughout the course of the week. We're also paying particular attention to the condition of our assets. That's our facilities, our vehicles, and stations. My aim for us is that we will not only rise to deliver excellent service for the Super Bowl 47 week, but that we will sustain that level of service commitment and performance to the communities moving forward from that week. I want to give you an update on ridership. I'm pleased to share with you that ridership does continue to grow as we emerge from the pandemic. We've been talking over the last months about ridership trends, and we know that our bus ridership has been a little bit more impacted. It is beginning to see some resurgence. Overall, right now, we are carrying about 58% of our pre-pandemic ridership on bus and light rail. We're pleased to see that growth, and we'll continue, I think, to see growth, albeit a little bit of slow service. Our weekend bus service in particular is continuing to carry more of the pre-pandemic ridership. So we're at about 62% of pre-COVID ridership on weekend, while on weekday we're at 55%. And I really do believe this reflects the more sluggish return of workers to jobs like here in downtown Phoenix on a Monday through Friday basis, instead being replaced by telecommuting, as well as more people driving. We're also seeing different travel patterns. You've probably noticed this out on our roads and highways. Peak period times have changed a little bit. Traffic patterns look different. So we're working to track that so that we can be responsive to the way people travel and their expectations as we make adjustments to our system moving forward. We'll continue to keep you engaged in a conversation about ridership performance. Finally, I want to provide you with an update to a topic of discussion by this board last month, and that's our East Valley Bus Operations and Maintenance Contract. We had a robust discussion here, and we've had several meetings since, including a meeting 2 weeks ago now with all of our East Valley city managers. With instruction from this board and that body, we have a path forward, and I'm excited about the direction that we're taking. We are working to collaborate at a regional scale to not only rescope that bus operations and maintenance contract, but work together to redefine our expectations for the performance of our bus system, its operations, its maintenance, and the customer experience. We have a lot of work to do in a relatively short amount of time. We've got to have a revised scope of work 1 month from now. We've decided to bring on external assistance in the form of a project manager that'll be part of our planning and on-call support services contract. This manager is going to work as an extension of our team to guide not only Valley Metro, but also our member city staff, ensuring that we are eliciting their input, and we're also bringing national best practices to our thinking about how we define our service performance, our contract scope, and our management of this contract. Some of these actions were actually recommendations that emerged from the American Public Transit Association Operations and Maintenance Peer Review that was held last month in August. We'll begin work with that project manager and our member city staff next week. We've got a 4-month period of performance. Based on feedback from the RTAG group in this room earlier this week, we'll also be engaging communities outside of the East Valley contract, including West Valley, because while one of our deliverables is going to be that East Valley scope of work, we are ostensibly having a conversation about where we're going with mobility and what we expect of our performance moving forward. This work may also inform our work on forthcoming contracts, including West Valley and rail operations. So good, solid effort. And I thank you in advance and for those in the room for their participation in that scoping process. We'll continue to keep you apprised at every turn. By the time this board comes back together in late October, we will have delivered a technical scope and cost estimate to the City of Phoenix's procurement team for their processing. We anticipate releasing a request for proposals in November of this year. That will give us a turnaround time of receiving proposals in March, and it usually takes 2 to 3 months to evaluate proposals of that scope. We would issue a notice to proceed to a contractor in June of 2023 and immediately begin a transition process. They would begin their period of performance January 1 of 2024. We've had discussions about the regional composition of that service so that we can respect City of Tempe's aspirations to create an avenue for them to directly contract for work. So together we'll be developing essentially 3 scopes of work. One would be East Valley Regional Service, another would be operating Tempe specific service, and then another East Valley service without the City of Tempe. This will give us the opportunity, in the City of Tempe as well, an opportunity to review proposals and weigh different options inclusive of cost in spring 2023 when we receive those proposals. It's a solid process. It's going to be a collaborative process. I look forward to it, and I am optimistic that the performance that we'll elicit on the other side when this contract is performing will be improved. Looking ahead at our October agenda, we'll be back in this room on October 27th. I anticipate that to be a meeting that's inclusive of robust discussion. We've got a few memos working their way through RTAG and our TMC RMC this month, focused on items including operator wage rates. At that meeting, we will also have a presentation to you from that APTA operations and maintenance peer review team. They'll be joining us virtually, and they plan to submit their report to us in the next couple of weeks. So that should be interesting and engaging for all of us. Then again, we've got a November cycle. We'll be back in this room on November 17th. I also anticipate that we would have an executive session paired against our October 27th meeting. This board has proposed a number of future study session items, and I want to recap those for you and certainly invite additional requests for study session and timing and sequencing. We're thinking that we will have a paratransit ride choice study session this year in the month of November. Our last board cycle saw a number of different paratransit items, and I'm confident that we are poised to introduce to you some changes in our paratransit and ride choice program, including our operations, our service design. Of course, there's a new change to vehicle design, and now we'll have the tools that help us facilitate that transition. Vice Mayor Pastor requested a discussion on free fare impacts. Staff is preparing for that now, so I'd like to have that study session at the beginning of the new year. And then finally, last week, we kicked off our zero emissions vehicles fleet transition plan. We have the WSP team working on board as an extension of Valley Metro and member city staff. In the month of February, we'll be at a point where we have content to share with this board and also create an opportunity for your direction and guidance. Thank you.
Any questions? Councilman Stim.
Thanks. You have the Audit and Finance Subcommittee listed on October 13th. We all have it on our calendar for October 6th. So I just want to, I'm not going to be here for either one of them.
Right. The actual meeting date is October 13th because of Yom Kippur this year. And while it falls on the TMC, RMC meeting date, I had to move both meetings to the following week. So I will send out a reminder after today.
Yeah, to the
Yeah,
AFS members.
AFS members. Mhm.
Perfect. Thank you.
Through the chair. I don't know about the rest of this, but National League of Cities is having their annual fall conference over the week of the 17th. So I don't know how many members here will be in Kansas City at that week.
Mayor, is that for November?
Correct.
Okay.
Perhaps we could do a poll and look at adjusting the meeting if that's possible for November. Okay. Thank you, Mayor, for that advance notice.
And I want to recognize Mayor Markey is here present. I also want to say that the grant is very exciting to hear about. I just happened to have a meeting yesterday with some of the people affected by light rail, the downtown and South Phoenix. And we were in particularly talking about the arts and the murals that are currently there and how it brings the vibrancy of Central and the color as construction is happening. And so that's really exciting to hear. The other piece I wanted to know, how will people know, what's the outreach going to look like?
I'm looking around the room. I just met with staff about this project recently. I know that we have an outreach program planned, and I would like to get back to this board with the plan in writing so you know what that outreach looks like. I know the outreach is going to occur in advance of the application submittal due dates, as it should, so that we can make people aware both of the program and then how they can actually apply.
Okay.
So I will follow up with that this week.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Any other comments, questions? Thank you for the report. Item number 3 is Audit and Finance Subcommittee update. Councilmember Stipp.
Thank you, Chair. We had actually a fairly brief meeting. We did welcome Mayor Peterson to the Audit and Finance Subcommittee, so we appreciate her participation. We did have an update on the CFO recruitment process, which is underway right now, and the Audit and Finance Subcommittee's involvement in final interviews, which will take place late October, the 20th and 21st, if they're necessary. We had an annual review of the internal audit charter, which is required by auditing standards. We made no changes this year, but are anticipating changes next year based on the International Audit Societies. I didn't get that right. Sorry, Sabrina. But based on their recommended changes, we did review the 2022 audit report, which was a summary of the fiscal year 22 audit activities. In addition to that, we had the internal audit update on the current status of all of our updates. The minutes for this meeting is contained in our packet for today. So if you have any questions, that information is in there. And believe it or not, we started the FY24 budget development timeline. Hard to believe that that's already started. But we went through that. I believe we finished the meeting in about 32 minutes. So pending any questions, that ends my report.
Any questions? I hear none. Thank you. Item 4A and 4B are for consent. Do I have any members that have any questions? Doesn't look like that. Can I have a motion for 4A and 4B?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes. Item number 5 is part of our regular agenda, and it is for action. Jessica Medford-Miller, please provide background.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like Adrian Ruiz, our Director of Safety and Security and Quality Assurance, to provide the background on this contract change request for Allied Universal Services. I also want to recognize that national and regional leadership from Allied Universal are here with us in the room. Thank you for joining us this morning. Ms. Ruiz.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Thank you for that recognition of Tammy Nixon and Brent Combs here as well. So we started working with Allied Universal back in October of last year, and we started seeing a dip in our vacancy, or an increase in our vacancies, dip in staffing. So in the memo you have here outlines the financial and contracted hours and benefits to the contract that we're asking for today. The incentives Allied has put forth since our discussions in October include bonuses in an area of $1,000 for those with guard cards, $500 for not. Also incentivizing through paying for guard cards at their expense. Allied Universal picking that up. So when looking at everything they have done, we asked for also a market wage kind of assessment. So San Diego Transit and LA Metrolink in the area of $17 an hour at the time of this, we're struggling to hire. So we definitely know the dollar amount we're asking for today is going to assist us in staffing up Super Bowl, staffing our vacancies. With that, I want to also draw attention to not only just Tammy Nixon and Brent Combs, but also Jose Rodriguez, account manager, Joseph Kasha, assistant, and Anthony Heller, coordinator and manager of the account, and Don Schneidmiller with the manager of security. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions? Okay, would you like to make the motion?
I would like to.
Vice Mayor Adams will be making the motion.
Yes, I motion that we approve this.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any nays? The ayes pass. Thank you. Pat, I have one question. Do I have to read this whole motion?
Motion, no. you
Okay,
cannot.
I just wanted to make sure.
It's presented in the packet and it will appear on the
Okay.
slides.
Okay, thank
I
you.
will put it verbatim in the minutes.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Item number 6, Community Relations Support Service on-call contract awards. We're on.
Yeah, I'd like to invite Hillary Foos, Director of Marketing and Community Relations, to introduce this contract and talk a little bit about our engagement process for this and the number of firms and the diversity of firms that we are proposing to you for contract award this morning. Thank you, Ms. Foos.
Thank you, Jessica. Madam Chair, members of the board, thank you for your time this morning. I'm pleased to be in front of you talking about our future support for community relations for this organization. We are recommending for award 11 different and diverse firms, from multinational to very locally embedded firms, to help us with our community relations needs, not only for Valley Metro, but also in service of our member cities. These firms will help us build public involvement plans that are tailored to the communities we're serving, business assistance, which is critical during construction, help us conduct in-person and virtual public meetings to certainly engage with the communities we're serving, and certainly important research on demographics to help us tailor our plans, as well as graphics development. We took a slightly different approach to this RFP based on some feedback from this board and also our interest in creating a diverse set of firms. We went through the way this RFP is set up is an on-call contract to create a bench of resources to really help us in a variety of scopes of work. Businesses could apply for one or all categories depending on their business interests, their business, what fit for them as a business. And so as you see in your packet, we're recommending for award 11 different firms in a variety of categories, and you'll see those bolded in your memo. This contract will serve us well moving forward. It is valued at $6.5 million, not to exceed that, a little more than $1 million a year for the next 5 years. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Are there any questions? I do have a question from Councilman Stipp.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sorry, fingers aren't working. Is it your intent to use as many of these 11 different contractors?
Yes, thank you for the question, Mr. Stipp. Madam Chair, our interest is, the reason we have the 11 and they are very diverse is that we do have very diverse needs. And so how this will really transpire in terms of the day-to-day business interaction, as we have a new need or scope of work, we'll develop that scope and then we can issue it to all or a handful depending on their skill sets and the category of work that we're looking for, and get proposals back to understand who's most competitive, who's the best fit. So our interest is to use these 11 firms to support our wide needs going forward.
And how will we track that? I'm looking for an accountability piece of that.
Sure.
We have 11 at 6.5 million, but we could end up using 1 or 2 for all of that 6.5, and the rest of it was just for show. So how will we know whether this effort of 11 really worked out from came to fruition for us from an accountability perspective?
Yeah, thank you. I can tell you that the reason that we went out with this type of on-call contract where a business could apply for one or all categories is our real interest in using a diverse set of firms. Certainly the money may not be spread evenly across all the 11, as some only applied for certain categories of work, and some of those are, have large magnitudes of orders, and some are smaller, like graphics work as an example. But what my plan is to do, and with my team managing this contract moving forward, is that we will use the approach I just mentioned about creating that scope, issuing it broadly based on what we're looking for, and letting the businesses tell us what they can or can't do, and helping us make good business decisions. We also wanted an 11 because our work is very large and consuming, and we need a variety of firms. So if one's working on CapEx, we might need another firm to help us with a study in the West Valley, as an example. So our interest is to use as much as we can all 11, hence our effort here, which really, Vice Mayor Pastor was critical in helping us increase our small business outreach. It really was our goal to get a real diverse set because our needs are so diverse.
All right, thank you.
Do I have a motion
I'll make a motion to approve.
and a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Now I will remember this. Discussion. Do we have a discussion? Nobody? I do want to say one thing. I appreciate the CEO's and Hillary's willingness to redo this procurement to ensure that Valley Metro clearly communicated that this was an on-call list of multiple contractors that are available and selected based on how their expertise and skill sets best apply to each task. The revised process allowed a variety of businesses to participate, including local, small, and minority businesses that are important to our community. So that is one of the reasons why I'm supporting this item. I think it's critical that we have a diversity and that it goes from small to large, and their expertise is completely different in many different ways on how they communicate to the community. So really appreciate the change. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say
Aye.
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 those. Any nays? No nays. The ayes take it. Thank you. Item number 7. Am I doing this right? Yeah, item 7, it's information only. Is there any questions? There's no actions here. Anybody have any questions? Doesn't seem like it. And I'm going to item number 8. Item 8 and 9 are, item 8 is for information. Anybody have anything? Councilman Stipp.
Yeah, Madam Chair, thank you. I would like to request a future agenda item. As I discussed during AFS briefing, we talked about the CFO recruitment. And I would like to request that we have an item on the October agenda to consider changing the board policy that has the CFO reporting to the board and return that employment reporting back to under the CEO. I'd like to also, as part of that process, understand what Valley Metro has done over the past 7 or 8 years that initially, we were initially forced into making this change. What have we done in the last 7 or 8 years And basically, how are we different today than we were then as part of that? But I think it's time for us, as we're getting ready to hire the CFO, to consider changing the reporting structure and putting the CFO back under the CEO.
Got that? And Mike, I don't know if this is appropriate, but maybe we also look at some of the other language that's in there. Because it's not just the CFO, there's other language in there.
That's correct, and it's contained in a few different documents. And it would be appropriate to talk about any or all of those documents that the board wishes to address. Some of those can also be addressed in executive session.
Okay.
If the board wishes to set an e-session on those items and start the discussion there.
So I would like to set an e-session.
We have an
discussion.
e-session going on the agenda for October.
Okay.
So next month we'll have an e-session.
Councilman Stipp?
I guess I'm moving at the speed for the CFO recruitment, that I don't want these other things to slow that down, because by the time we have this meeting on the 27th, we will have already had kind of final interviews, so to speak. So perhaps this second phase is something that we do afterward. I don't want to bog down the CFO recruitment with all the other things that are probably going to take a month or longer, where we focus just on the CFO, because that's just a board policy. The rest of it is really, I think, some even potential administrative code changes, and that is going to take some time. So I don't know how we can diverge those two to move at the speed at which we need to for the CFO recruitment.
Board member, we can absolutely make that happen in that order, and work towards progress with an eye towards the CFO first.
Okay.
Thank you. Item 9 is information. The next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, October 27th, 2022 at 11:15. This meeting is adjourned. Next meeting. So this meeting is adjourned. I'm now convening the next meeting. Welcome members to the September meeting. Item number 1 is public comment. The public will be provided with an opportunity at this time to address the committees on a non-agenda items and all action agenda items. Up to 3 minutes will be provided per speaker unless the chair allows more at her discretion. A total of 15 minutes for all speakers will be provided. Pat?
Mr. Crowley is here this afternoon.
I have the governor's veto letter here, and part of it states that he doesn't see enough clarity, and that also some stuff by Senator Rita and Rita. Sorry, I need to take this mask off so they can hear me better. And we know that with that rejection, you guys are in such a quagmire. Well, are you doing anything today to get into compliance on what the governor wanted? I don't think so. And when I look and see what you do have, I'm still amazed at this document about how one of the things in here is the bus rapid transit that doesn't exist is getting major funding. And then it says, but the Phoenix part of it won't be getting that funding. It also says that they're basing a bunch of this on the super grid. Well, on the super grid, you know, this thing isn't going down any, but I'll keep on talking. That with the super grid, you're supposed to be doing Litchfield Road for 2023. When I saw service changes this last time, did you have that in there? No. So being that that is one of the ones that has made it through, that wasn't one of the ones that you knocked away. What are you doing about it? So when the governor says, I don't see the transparency and that you're not working well together, I've got to agree with it. And I look at last month's minutes and where I brought up, you're giving these people $30 million in planning for the rail and 600,000 of that to be also supplementing the bus. And then you put 5 routes in there that aren't intermodal. Now, I know that you're supposed to be looking at it again coming up, but do it right in the first place. Every single bus route that crosses the rail needs to have connectivity, because that way you're doing it for the citizenry. But when you put in the rail line and say, well, we're not going to have a stop there because the rail feels it can go faster without stopping, but what is that other than moving the rail from point A to point B? It's not right, moving the citizenry. So what are you doing to get the document a little bit better written by MAG to reflect what it is that you need to have done? As in what I pointed out before, the way this thing is wrote, you have no rural routes. The reason we put the rural routes in there is to put the system to the fullest expanse of it, since those people have only been paying taxes, since 85. What do they have to show for it? Now, it might be a smaller community, but when you consider from 85 to 2022 is what, 37 years? Why don't they have anything to show for it? Now, I know that they'll be getting the Interstate 11 coming up, but we need to have buses to all the communities. We need to have circulators and connectors, and you need to be a little bit more transparent, and we need to be getting this back on the ballot sooner than later. Now, they need to take care of the children in the schools, maybe if they have a special session. If you guys had put something together, they could also be looking at that at the same time, and then you won't be as stressed. See you at the rail.
Appreciate your comments. Now I'm going to cancel. So item number 2 are for minutes from August 18th, 2022 board meeting. Are there any concerns, or can I get a motion? I have a motion.
Second.
And a second. All those, any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes carry. Thank you. Item number 3 is for action, regional paratransit service replacement vehicles purchase. Ms. Jessica Medford-Miller, can you
Thank you.
introduce the item?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to invite Tom Young, our Director of Accessible Transit Services, to the podium to give you background on items 3 and 4. The items before you today, and really the focus of our action items for the RPTA meeting today, are paratransit and ride choice services. We are proposing the introduction of new technology and also vehicles that will help us make a pivot in the provision of accessible mobility, specifically demand responsive accessible mobility across the valley. And agenda item 3 is actually in response to a direction given by Councilmember Heredia at this board meeting in recent past. I think this is also a nice prelude to the paratransit ride choice conversation that we'll have in the November study session. So Mr. Young, please.
Thank you, Jessica. Vice Mayor Pastor, members of the board. As Jessica said, I'm here today requesting another change to the chassis for the ADA paratransit vehicles. This change is actually to replace the Ford E350 cutaway vehicles that were ordered all the way back in March of 2021. that we've yet to have chassis assigned to them in a build schedule. So after the discussion on smaller vehicles last month, I did reach out to several paratransit companies, sales companies, and re-asked the question about smaller vehicles. Creative Bus Sales did reach out to other manufacturers, and they found 26 Chrysler chassis that fully met Buy America and all other FTA requirements. So this request today is to take the original 26 Ford Paratransit chassis we ordered over 18 months ago and replace that order with 26 Braun Ability vehicles from Creative Bus's state contract at a total cost not to exceed $1,701,730,000 or $730. I can answer any questions at this time.
Are there any questions? I don't see any, none on the Zoom. May I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Hear no nays. Ayes pass. Motion passes. Thank you. Trapeze pass additional modules, accessible transit. This is for action. You're on.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Pastor, members of the board. Switching gears real quick over to software modules. Valley Metro currently uses Trapeze for our scheduling and dispatch system for the ADA Regional Paratransit. The action in front of you is to add modules to the Trapeze system that'll enhance our customer facing on the system. So specifically, we're looking at adding a notification system to replace the current one TransDev use. The notification system actually calls the customer automatically the night before to remind them they have a trip scheduled. It gives them the option to cancel by the phone or accept the trip. And it also calls the customers the day of service prior to the vehicle arrival, so they're prepared for the pickup. In addition, we're proposing modules called Pass App and Pass Web. What these two modules will allow is customers to actually access the system either by their smartphone or online on the computer to schedule their trips and check and verify trips scheduled or the status of their bus that's supposed to be picking them up. All of this will help us customers access the ADA paratransit system without having to call and make an actual reservation. They'll be able to do it online. And the final module we're proposing is called Easy Wallet. This will allow paratransit customers to actually have a fund set up that pays their fare so they don't have to have the cash as they get on the bus. So the addition of these modules not only will help improve the customer facing to access the paratransit system, but as we move forward to the combined administration of both the Ride Choice and Paratransit program, this will ensure that Ride Choice customers will continue to have the same services they have today as far as access to the system, plus a few enhancements. So this action is to authorize the CEO to procure the additional modules at an amount not to exceed $724,000 for both the modules and the services. I can answer questions at this time.
Yes, thank you for your presentation. So, if someone was riding the bus then with these new changes, they wouldn't have to have any cash with them then, correct?
That's correct. If they set up the account, as soon as the trip is ordered and they're picked up, it'll automatically draw from that account.
So that's really good. I'm familiar with one situation where the young gentleman is autistic and his family helps like the homeless and things, and he was getting on the bus and then the homeless would ask him for money and he'd give all the money away. So, not knowing any better, he thought he was, doing the right thing. So anyway, this will really, really help with those that are challenged with, money and all of that. So thank you for bringing this forward. I will be supporting this today.
Thank you.
And this is for paratransit only.
for paratransit initially, but as we move the ride choice program in December of 2023, that will also be included in it.
Okay, that's exciting. And I think it's, well, he was helping the community.
He wasn't.
He just didn't realize that he needed money to get on the paratransit, and others will come in need to help him. But this will provide a great service to our customers. Any other questions? Councilman Stitt?
This is very exciting. So I really appreciate this coming forward to the point that, is there any way to expedite this on the ride choice side of the house before a year from now?
Unfortunately, the contracts that we have in place and the procurements that we have in place doesn't allow us to actually combine the two programs together until December 1st of 2023. However, our current contractor on the ride choice program is working to get some smartphone enhancements to trip scheduling right now. So it may come a little earlier through our current contractor, but these pieces will be at the contract change in December.
At the risk of sounding whiny and crabby, we make all these contract adjustments because our contractors can't keep up. Now we want one of our contractors to keep up, and we should probably be trying to push for expedite on their end if we can. I think when we look at what's happening in society, if I can just grab my phone and I can call a ride share immediately from an app, et cetera, and we're forcing our customers into an antiquated kind of system. I think we need, and I think you know this, so I'm preaching to the choir, but we need to get this as quickly as we can. But thank you so much for your effort on it.
And thank you for your comments, Councilmember Stipp. If I can take one more second to go further, and you'll hear more about this in November, us putting all of these pieces together eventually will allow us to manage all demand response type services to include the new buzzword of microtransit. So it fits completely into our overarching goal for demand response services.
If I may, I want to add that in parallel on the fixed route side, Valley Metro is working closely with our regional partners, especially City of Phoenix, on the fare collection modernization project. And so that is updating fare collection for all of our bus, streetcar, and light rail customers. And we will be pleased to roll out our first mobile ticketing application that will be integrated with our trip planning application in the beginning of calendar year 2023 in advance of an event we've got coming to town in February of 2023. Super Bowl 47, yeah, 57. Thank you. And we're working very closely with City of Phoenix staff and their vendors to push for the execution of that, so that we've got all of our testing done and our public launch done well in advance of that mid-February date. So we're getting there.
We're getting there. Thank you for your advocacy. We will push as fast as we can. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those, discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Ayes have it. The motion passes. Thank you. Item 5 is for information. Anybody have any current events or suggested future agenda items?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to let this group know that as the current chair of the MAG Transportation Policy Committee, that is the extension of Prop 400 is my #1 priority. We had a meeting at the MAG Transportation Policy Committee yesterday, and just so this group knows, and you already know this, but it's being discussed at MAG as well, that transit plays an extremely important role in us meeting our clean air requirements. We are currently a non-attainment area. And if we don't get something done with Prop 400 extension as soon as possible, it could have devastating effects on our economy in general. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Sellers, for doing that great work and advocating for us and being, sitting on Valley Metro and MAG. Really appreciate it. Item number 6, the next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, October 27th, 2022 at 11:15. Meeting adjourned. I see everybody packing up.
Give us a second.
I'll give you a few minutes to go and then our next meeting will start. Thank you.
Get out.
Vice Mayor Pastor, Vice Mayor Adams has this agenda.
I was wondering why I was like, oh, am I going to weigh in? Okay, I'm going to weigh in. Go ahead. You do your thing.
All right, let's get started. Number 1, the public will be provided with an opportunity at this time to address the committees on non-agenda items and all action agenda items. Up to 3 minutes will be provided per speaker unless the chair allows more at her discretion. A total of 15 minutes for all speakers will be provided. Do we have any
Mr. Crowley?
speakers?
Mr. Crowley?
Oh, thank you.
Everything that I said before that applies to rail still does. And Kevin, you remember when the feds came out and discussed doing real rail for the valley and such? And one of the things that was pointed out there was that there was no infrastructure of supporting bus, et cetera. Hopefully your city has upgraded that. But part of that is the future of our transportation. And as the rail committee, is there anything you guys are doing about that heavy rail and discussing it, et cetera? I don't think so. And why is that? But then when it comes to the actual rail, I love that extension Tempe wants to do on the Mesa. Isn't that a nice one going to their facility and such? But wouldn't you think that they would need to have a bus route there now? You know, it's amazing to me that what the rail does, as in that extension going to the Capitol, that the way you plan it is for the rail, not for the system or for the citizenry, because 5 stops, 5 of them. How are you being multimodal rail? You know, you got all these funds in that. And as in for future planning, when are you going to start considering that 28 of the 28 cities in the MAG region have rail going through them. From out past Wickenburg to the line that comes in through the Southern Pacific line, to all of that in through the city. Hell, Glendale has a transit stop or a rail stop right there at 59th and Glendale. We've got one on 5th. Why aren't you guys doing any of that planning and making it all multimodal? Part of what you need to be doing is that plan. And if you don't have in that plan, we need to look at the rail, it don't get looked at. So as you guys are putting together a new document to pass on to them, hopefully with the stuff that the governor has asked for, et cetera, and done more clarity and make it more multimodal, you'll also be asking about how do we get the heavy rail put in? Thanks for your time.
Thank you. All right, number 2 is the minutes. Are there any questions regarding the minutes from last month?
No, I move or I give a motion for item number 2.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 3, settlement of claims, Jackson versus Hinson. Jessica Mefford Miller, would you like to introduce this item? Uh-oh, we lost her.
I'll take this one.
Okay, thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Chair. So based on the board's direction, and thank you for your input at the executive session, this is the case that we discussed. We took this into a mediation, had a successful mediation at that case, actually more successful than we initially anticipated. So thank you for the ability to get this done. We have reached a settlement in the case, and so now we're asking the board to authorize the settlement, entering into the settlement on this case up to and not to exceed $200,000.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
So
Aye.
moved.
Second.
Second, all right. All in favor, or is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 4, are there any reports or current events that we want to have on the agenda items for our future meetings? Hearing none. We'll move to number 5. Next meeting is on Thursday, October 27th at 11:15 a.m. Meeting adjourned. Woo-hoo.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Making a mess, huh?
Glad you're doing the end one.